Hi, I'm Jan Pittman from Century 21, and I'm here today with Brendon Payne, who's also with our company. Brendon, how long have you been in the business?
I got licensed in 2007, so about 7.5 years.
7.5 years, fantastic. And what were you doing prior to real estate?
Before I got into real estate, I was in retail. I was a retail management with multi-store locations, so kind of doing that thing.
Really? Fantastic. And what was the initial reason you thought about getting into real estate?
It's actually something I thought about for a while. You know, I had owned a couple homes. I moved quite a bit for my career prior to coming to where I'm at now. And so in the process, you know, I was one of the lucky ones. The first home that we bought, and in about 3 years made probably 40% in appreciation in it, which we all know is probably doesn't happen all the time. And
may not see again in our lifetime.
May not. And so,
Right.
you know, at that point, I was kind of asking the question. I'm getting up every day going to work for a job, and look what I was just able to do. So it was always kind of the back of my mind.
Right.
But had never really gotten much further. I was kind of focused on a career path and trying to climb the corporate ladder, so to speak.
Well, what kind of concerns did you have getting into a business that's 100% commission based?
Well, obviously the concerns that I had at the time were I was in a very stable, like I said, career type position. So I had a good salary. I had my eyes on, you know, what the next step was. So even though when I look forward, maybe the opportunities weren't as much as I would have liked at the time, it was very secure in what I had.
Right.
So I knew pretty much on an annual basis what I was going to be getting. I had progressed, and so I was, you know, kind of tempted by just keep climbing that ladder. But eventually, I started realizing that the climb continued to require me to geographically keep moving. So at a point, I kind of started looking outside of that business to figure out where could I, you know, grow, but stop having to uproot my family every time we wanted to make a move.
Right, and that growth, of course, is, you know, not exponential. Typically in a corporate situation, you're always going, it's tiered ladders and things like that, so it can take a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I knew, you know, on an annual basis, I could pretty much assure you if I performed at a really, really strong level, you know, I was going to be looking at a single-digit increase, and that was being one of the top performers in the company. So there wasn't a whole lot of ability to really plan out, you know, what you're going to do, or beyond, you know, a little bit of an merit increase every year. So that was tough.
Wow. I can imagine, and you have 2 little kids, so that's also a factor in there when you're thinking about making a career change. Obviously, you have to think about all of that, because it's not just about you anymore.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, you decided to get into real estate. Did you interview with many companies, or?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because I spent about probably the better part of 18 months actually interviewing different companies, doing research. I went through the training classes and stuff when the market was on fire in late 2005 and early 2006. So all through 2006, I was doing interviews of brokers and owners here in town, and I would say no doubt talked to at least a dozen different companies, independent brands and individual, you know, boutique companies, just trying to get a feel for what's the difference between each one. And you know, it took a long time before I felt comfortable that it was a good fit.
I mean, it was such a huge move for you and your family. I mean, how'd you have the confidence to join our company?
Well, so in that 12 to 18 month period when I was doing those interviews, one of the things that I recognized was the market was changing. You know, we went from everything being on fire, and just, you know, everybody. I mean, I had people that were in my stores that were in hourly positions that were leaving and coming back 6 months later and talking about how they'd made $100,000 in 6 months because they went to become a real estate agent.
Right.
And so, you know, knowing enough about business that probably didn't, you know, that didn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Right.
As I was interviewing owners in 06 and 07, the market had started to shift. And so the question I was asking them is, I'm getting ready to make a big move. You know, I'm considering leaving a career. I've got bills, I've got family, I've got responsibilities. What do you have? What can you show me that's going to give me the confidence that I'm going to actually be able to, I'm going to put in the work, I'm going to put in the effort, but what do you have that you can show me people have done in the past that I can duplicate?
Right.
So that was what the process was. It took a long time to have those conversations, because I walked out every one of them and said, this is not going to happen. Because as I was asking them, is this a good time for me to make this move? They're saying, yeah, it's a good time. And I could tell there was fear in their eyes on what was happening with their personal business.
Right.
And I can remember one particular company, and it's not important which one,
right.
but in having a conversation with them, and I asked those questions, and they said, we've got a great training program, we're going to support you 100%. And within 60 days, that office shut its doors.
Great.
So that was one of those things where I said, okay, I really have to make sure that I'm making the right move. So to answer the question, what I found when I came and ended up talking with you, and I talked with Greg, of course, was that you could point to, here's our system, here's what we do, and then feel free to go talk to 3 or 4 agents right now that have implemented this system and ask them if it worked.
Right.
So instead of telling me about something, I was actually able to look and make the connection between, all right, these guys did this, they told me, they have no incentive to lie to me.
Yeah.
And if I'm willing to go do that, then I should be fine. And that's when I made the move.
Great. And I know that I pursued you for quite a while you were still with your other career.
Yep.
And have we met and exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
So you in those conversations, we had a lot of them. We had a lot of candid ones where, there was a period of time, I think, where I felt in my heart that it was going to be the right move, but it was still a big move. And, one of the things that I think that, especially coming from a different industry, or coming from something where you've already accomplished something in your job or in your career, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to doubt you.
Right.
And a lot of people are going to look at you and go, I know they did me. When I left, people were like, are you out of your mind? Are you kidding me? This is the move that you're going to make?
Right.
But, that's normal, because they hadn't had an opportunity to see what the plan was that I was going to put in place. They were just looking and saying, hey, most of the agents that I know, they go into business, they do 2 deals, and then they're out of business in a year looking for a job.
Exactly.
So that was that's the difference maker.
Yeah. So now that you've been in business for a while, how has your perception changed of what real estate was really all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started, like most people, I think the goal was get in because, and I said this, people say, why are you getting into real estate? The top 3, I want to be my own boss.
Right.
I want to work my own schedule, and I want to be my own business owner, or own my own business and have, sky's the limit as far as income. Now, all of those are possible. Every one of those, I believe wholeheartedly now, and I've demonstrated that those are valid. They're valid options, and if you get a plan in place, you can make them happen. The one difference, though, that I think that I've learned is that what you can learn in this industry and the opportunity that can be in front of you, what you gain through just doing real estate sales and the income that you can gain is a small piece of what you should really get out of this. So the impact that I've had or that I've been experienced through the career is probably the least important. What it's done to change me as a person and my mindset and my outlook on what I'm able to achieve that's going to have an impact on my family, my kids, their kids, because it's changed me as a person versus just changing the level of financial success that I'm able to achieve.
So just to put it in perspective, how many deals will you do this year?
This year I'm on track for about 160 transactions.
160 transactions. So obviously you're a top producer in our market. And do you feel that you've reached your full potential or that you can still grow?
No, I definitely don't feel like I've reached the full potential because there is, I think beyond real estate, I've kind of transformed into thinking more like an entrepreneur. So whether or not I choose to do 200 deals or 400 deals in the actual personal production of real estate, then my full potential is not to be a full-time professional real estate agent.
Right.
My potential, I've realized, is far beyond that, and I've kind of got a responsibility to impact beyond just doing sales transactions. So no, I feel like I'm just really starting to scrape the surface of what I'm going to be able to accomplish.
Right, and of course, being with our company, both of us have been, afforded the different possibilities, and now we're into other businesses as well. So, I mean, that has been, for myself personally, I mean, I never thought getting into real estate I was going to have all of these opportunities handed to me along the way. So, I think that we're both pretty new to that aspect of it, but really understand that there's so much more room for growth and so many possibilities for us in the future.
Yep.
So it's really exciting.
Yep, for sure.
Now, how do you feel that your family's been impacted by all of this?
That's probably been one of the biggest bonuses. So, I've had support from day one from my family, and that's big, because you do have a lot of people that are going to doubt, and they stood by the whole way. But the way they've been impacted is there wasn't an option for me when I was doing what I was doing. If I wanted to grow position-wise, income-wise, all of those opportunities, there was going to be a trade-off. The trade-off for that growth was going to be time with my family, period.
Right.
There wasn't a way to do both. So I wasn't willing to make that sacrifice. So the way that my family's been impacted is not only have I been able to increase what we're able to do, the freedom that I have, and the ability to experience different things, but there hasn't been a cost to my family. There's actually been a benefit, because when I started this, I did it by design to be very aware that I wasn't going to be working 60 and 70 hours a week, that I wasn't going to work every night and every single weekend. And so, they not only have a husband and a dad to hang out with,
right,
but they're learning some of the opportunities that are going to be in front of them, and a whole different way of thinking, so that I'm most excited about seeing what they're going to be able to do.
Absolutely. And it's funny, because the perception out there would be he's doing 160 deals, he must be working 500 days a year, and all night and every weekend, and all that, has no family time. But that, of course, is not correct.
No, and that was, I actually kind of thought he was, I kind of said it as a joke, but when I spoke with Greg the first time, one of the things that was really important for me, because I was in my business, although my schedule was Monday through Friday, I was working nights and weekends every week, and even if it was just on the phone. So one of the things that I said when Greg said, well, what are you looking for? What are your requirements? I said, I'm not going to work nights and weekends. He said, okay. And I said it almost as like, well, I'm going to throw this out there.
Right.
And I'll be darned if he said, that's fine, we can put a plan together for that. And I've been able to, by design, make that work. And it was almost a fantasy when I started. That, it would have been a great thing, but I never really expected it. And, it became reality.
Yeah, it's so true, and we all know that with Greg, it's family first, family comes first, and we schedule everything else around that, and that's a great thing. I feel like, you and I have been in the business for a while. I've been a little bit longer than you, but it's incredible to me, all of the possibilities that are out there, and the perception of us as a company out there, that we are just workaholics that come to work, we're robots, that we stand by our desks and we just, make these phone calls all day long, and they have no idea of what's really behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I personally feel like it's just such we're really a family at our company, and we believe that family comes first, and we can be extremely successful in a career and balance both. So that's been important to all of us, obviously. So, just in one sentence, how would you describe our company?
I would say, I think we're actually like an entrepreneur boot camp. I would say that we're giving people the opportunity to actually grow beyond what their idea when they come in is probably to do some deals, be a successful agent, and through a period of time, if they stick around long enough, and they're open to maybe the possibility of transforming the way they think a little bit, then they're actually going to slowly be turned into an entrepreneur. Whether they do anything with that or not is completely up to them, and it's okay if they don't pursue anything beyond that. But the way that they're going to look at their career and what they have in front of them will be transformed. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to spend the time here today with us, and wish you lots of luck in your future.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yep.